fans, welcome back to another Flicks for Our review, and today we're going to talk about Rustin. So Rustin is a semi-biographical drama directed by George C. Wolfe, starring Colman Domingo, and the film centers around Bayard Rustin. He was a queer civil rights activist who organized the March on Washington, which is best known for when Martin Luther King Jr. gave his, his speech, and I love films where I learned something that I did not know before. I had no idea who Bayard Rustin was going into this picture. So just learning about exactly who he was and what he was well known for was just very eye-opening for me. So getting into the acting part of it, there's a lot of people pop up in this film. But like I said, the star is Colman Domingo. He is fantastic. I first saw him in Fear the Walking Dead, and he just has like this cool, like debonair approach to all of his characters. You know, his voice is very iconic. He's very smooth with his delivery of lines, and he carries that over to this film. He's like a chameleon in his roles. He kind of just blends into that character and becomes that person. It's not like when I see that person, I'm like, oh, that's Colman Domingo. It's like, that's that character, and he does this very well. Now, Rustin is a little more, I kind of want to say, nerdy than other characters he plays. Like I said before, his character is pretty much cool and debonair, but this character is clearly highly intelligent, probably the smartest person in the room, but not the toughest, I'll say that much. And I enjoyed watching his interactions with other people, like his, just little snide remarks that he'd make about people in front of their face. He wasn't afraid to show it. And a major aspect about this film is the fact that Bayard Rustin was homosexual. Because of that, he was pushed to kind of like the back seat of the civil rights movement, and that's probably why we didn't hear a lot about him in school, namely public school, because I went to public school. So, and it was very eye-opening, again, to say that, why didn't we learn more about this guy? That he was a great organizer, a great champion for Black people and queer people, and it would have been great just to learn more about him for all that he did for Black people in the community. One thing I did learn as I got older was that Rosa Parks was not the first Black person to sit at the front of a bus and to be arrested, but she was like the first Black person with a spotless record that they could get behind to do that. So in this film, there is a scene where Bayard Rustin, he is sitting at the front of a bus, and of course, the cops come to arrest him. And like when they ask him to leave, he's like, if I get up and leave now, this child would never know that there's an injustice going on. And this is a fantastic scene. And the mother of the child, she says, don't look at that nigger. And they get him off the bus and they beat him. So the woman is watching this happen, and her face is disgusted. And you can tell she changed. So she didn't realize that was what was going to happen. So I just found that was a very powerful scene. You would expect they show the child looking and the child would be disgusted. And so the child grows up to be this civil rights activist. No, it's the mom who sees what happens. And she kind of realizes what she just did to this man. And not that it's her fault, but she was part of that society. She was perpetuating the racism that was going on. So I thought that was a very powerful scene. And there are many other powerful scenes like that throughout. They do show Rustin as a complicated man. He has at least two relationships going on in this movie. One is with a white man who's a part of the movement that is implied that he had a past relationship with. And another is with a preacher who is married to a woman, and they have a relationship going on the side. And another thing about his homosexuality that they kind of go throughout, it's not a secret. Everybody knows. Everybody knows oh, well, you know about Bayard, you know what he does. And he tells people, he's open about it. So it's not it's a taboo thing, but it's not like people didn't know. And I found that very interesting. It was just kind of a part of his life, and that it was well known by everybody. So I'm surprised, again, that this is something that we weren't taught about. Not like he was a closeted person that came out years later. But like I mentioned before, he was in this relationship with these two guys in the process of the movie. And I was like, where's this going? And it does kind of lean to the fact that a lot of homosexual men in those times just chose to lead a normal life. They chose, I'm just going to marry a woman and pretend I'm straight, and that's just gonna be my life. So that's pretty much what this other character was going through, while Bayard was like, you should not, hide yourself like that, or something to that degree. And I just thought that was interesting for them to put in the film. And I'm not sure, I didn't do the research afterwards to know if that really happened or if that was something that they just added to, add a little more drama to the story. But I thought that was another interesting thing. In terms of music, you really do feel like you're like dropped right into the civil rights movement. It's just the score and the soundtrack, it is pretty powerful and great, and I really like how it was incorporated throughout the film. The rest of the acting, the rest of the talent that shows up is great. Chris Rock, he's pretty good in his role. The guy who plays I have never seen a bad performance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And the guy in this film, I think his name is Aml Ameen or something like that. He's really good. Jeffrey Wright shows up as a senator at one point, or a congressman, some type of politician. He's pretty good in his limited performance. CCH Pounder, many other names up here in this film, and they're all great. I really can only remember one white face. There was that girl, maybe one or two white faces throughout the whole film. So that lets you know that is a black starring film. And another thing about it being a black starring film, it's great. I love it. There does seem to be an aspect of this film that kind of screams Oscar bait movie. Please vote for us. And that's because, most of the cast is black. You have a gay main character. You have, civil rights involved. So many of these things that the Oscar movies love to, hey, this is us. This is what we do. It just kind of screams that. And I don't know if that'll hurt it for the general public or not, but I don't know. It's not that it's bad. It just felt like it was on the nose, that they were kind of checking all the boxes to say. I'll say that much. They were checking all the boxes to make sure that this film gets some kind of Oscar recognition. Do I think Colman Domingo should be nominated? I think so. I think he can definitely pull out a Best Actor nomination for this role. Will he win? I do not think so. I still think that's going to Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, but it was an enjoyable film. In terms of score, probably give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, I enjoy movies where I learn something about history, about black people, about the culture, and I think this is something that, for people who like history, for people who want to know more about the civil rights movement, about those smaller names that aren't as popular as, Rosa Parks or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or Jesse Jackson, this is something that you might enjoy watching. I'd like to thank you again for joining me for this review. Remember, you can watch the full review on YouTube and the website flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Facebook page, anything and everything Flipfrog, Flixfrog, Flipfrog Books. Make sure you subscribe. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.